Welcome back, and congratulations, you've completed all 7 days. That's not a small thing. A lot of people begin a challenge like this. You stayed with it. Today's video is different. There's no new framework, no new concept to introduce. This is about integration, about what you've actually built over these 7 days, and about what becomes possible when these 7 levels stop being concepts and start being a way of seeing. Here's something worth recognizing. None of the 7 capacities you've been developing this week were new to you. You already knew at some level that the conditions of a conversation matter, that your emotions carry information, that identity is at stake in conflict, that trust shapes everything. What this challenge gave those awarenesses was language, a structure, a sequence, and perhaps most importantly, attention. The willingness to actually look at each dimension rather than moving through conflict on autopilot. Level 1, space. You now know how to create conditions for safety before they're needed. This is a skill most people spend their whole lives without consciously developing. Level 2, emotions. You can recognize your triggers before they drive your reactions. You have language for what your body is telling you in real time. Level 3, identity. You understand something about what you defend and why. You can notice when the emotional charge in a situation is out of proportion to the surface issue and ask what's really at stake. Level 4, relationships. You know how to invest in trust before it's under stress. And you've practiced genuine curiosity, which is, I believe, one of the most disarming things one human being can offer another. Level 5, expression. You've practiced speaking from your experience rather than about someone else's fault. You've felt the awkwardness of a new habit forming. Level 6, intuition. You've created a moment of genuine quiet and listened. That is rarer than it sounds in the world we live in. Level 7, spirituality. You've touched the deepest layer, the perception of separation and scarcity that fuels most sustained conflict. And you've experimented with a different working assumption. On day 1, I ask you to identify a recurring conflict in your life, to hold it as we move through the week. I'd like you to return to it now, not to resolve it in the next 2 minutes, but to look at it through the lens of all 7 levels, and to notice, does it look any different? Maybe you see now that it lives primarily at level 3. There's an identity dimension driving it that no one is talking about. Or maybe it's a level 4 issue at its core. The trust has eroded so much that the surface conversations can't go anywhere until that's addressed. Or maybe it's a level 7, a fundamental scarcity framing that has both people in a defensive crouch. You don't need a solution today, but having language for where it lives, which level, which dimension, changes your relationship to it. Instead of, this is just how it is, there is now a direction, a place to put your attention. The 7 levels are not a checklist you work through before every difficult conversation. They're a lens, one that, with practice, becomes the way you naturally see interpersonal dynamics. Over time, you'll start noticing which level attention is living at before it becomes a conflict. You'll find yourself creating safety instinctively, regulating more easily, listening to what's beneath the words, asking what you have in common with someone you're struggling with. This is what peace comes from within means in practice. Not the absence of conflict, but a deepening inner clarity that changes how you meet the inevitable tensions of human relationships. Here is your final practice. Take 10 minutes to write a brief reflection. Complete those 3 sentences. The insight that surprised me most was the level I most want to develop further is, and one specific change I will make in how I approach conflict is, keep it somewhere you'll see it. Return to it in 30 days. Notice what has shifted, not in the conflicts around you, but in you. This challenge is a beginning, not an end. The 7 levels framework goes much deeper than 7 days can take you. If you want to go further, the natural next step is the book, Resolving from Within. It's written both for professionals who work with conflict and for individuals who want to understand their own inner landscape more deeply. What you've experienced this week is a sample of what it offers. And if you're a professional, a coach, a mediator, an HR professional, a therapist, or a leader, and you can see the application of this framework in your work with others, the 7 levels certification program goes deep into that territory. You can find more information at the link below. Whatever you do next, carry what you've found this week. The awareness you've developed here is real. The conflicts around you haven't changed, but something in how you're able to meet them has. And that, in the end, is where everything begins. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work. Peace comes from within. Namaste, my friend.